Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Lifestyle Solopreneurs, today we get to speak with Bob Lachance. He is the founder and CEO of REVA Global, the leading virtual assistant staffing company for real estate professionals. He's a former professional hockey player, super interesting. He spent 8 years on the ice, dividing his time between teams in the United States and also Europe. After retiring from hockey, he transitioned to real estate and acquired his first flip property in 2004. Over the course of his career, Bob has successfully closed over 2,000 transactions, including over 240 deals in 2022 and over 180 deals in 2023. He is also the co-founder of PurchRock, a real estate investment firm in Connecticut. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I mean, you've done so many different things, right? First, a professional hockey player. So this isn't just a hobbyist, but a pro. And then you went into real estate, but also you own a virtual assistant staffing company. And I think there's people listening who might, like, that all sounds good and well, but they're not even sure, what's a virtual assistant company? Like, what does that do for people? And they may have never heard of property flipping or, real estate investing. So give us a little bit of the background. How did you end up where you are today? And tell us a little bit about all the different things you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty interesting because I know I listen to your podcast and I know there's a lot of individuals that may be either working full time and trying to get out of their day job and get into the entrepreneur world. That was me. And I think it's pretty interesting when you're thinking about when you're either playing pro sports. I know a lot of listeners may not play pro sports, but it's the same as working a day job because there's going to be a day when the lights are off, meaning in this world, if you have a job, you may be looking at it saying, all right, I'm not happy. I don't have passion in what I do right now. I want to do something. Maybe real estate is my passion. It's the same thing when you're playing professional hockey. Your knees are going to wear out one day. You're going to get an injury that you can't play until you're 80, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of the same concept. And one of the things I started doing towards the end, I played 8 years. I started reading some books and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And everything kept going back to real estate. When you look at a lot of individuals that are very, very wealthy, a lot of them have to do with real estate. It could have started in manufacturing, e-commerce, but a lot of them now have taken that money and dumped it into passive income and passive investing or real estate, however you put it. And it's just a very, very interesting. I love this industry because the harder you work, in my opinion, and the smarter you get, the more money you can make over time. So I picked real estate. Also, the other reason why I picked this is I left school 2 classes short of getting my degree, and I did not want to go back to school. So long story short, picked real estate, and here I am today.
I love the world of virtual assistants because it's gone from just needing to hire someone that comes to your office every day to now I know a lot of people that hire assistants that live halfway around the globe from them. And, with technology and everything, things have really become a lot more accessible. So tell us a little bit about virtual assistants and sort of how you play into that world after you explain what the opportunity is there for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started realizing I needed a virtual assistant, like I said, I started back in 2004. I did everything from fix and flip to short sales to buy and hold. I also helped start a real estate education program. And then 2013, I realized, when I'm working with all these students, that they all had a common challenge. And it was actually getting all of the tasks done to be a successful real estate investor because they were busy doing their other jobs. So 2014 or the end of 2013, a light bulb went on. I'm like, I need to figure out what a system is or a process or a service that I could refer off to students. And then I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was. And, a light bulb kind of went on. I said, you know what? This is something that all of our student base needs. And also, this is something I need in my own real estate business. So I kind of put it all together and I put the training program, which is the real estate education program that I helped create. And then I put the virtual assistant world together to create a service for real estate investors and real estate agents or any type of real estate professional. It could be property managers, we have attorneys, we have bookkeepers, et cetera, that use our service. So that's when it really first started. And the end result that we found throughout the years, I started this back, like I said, back in 2014. So I've been doing it for 10 years. One of the things we found out, it gets people's time back. And that's one of the most important things for all of us. Many of us have families. Many of us are extremely busy doing multiple things. And in the end, if we want to have a great lifestyle, we need to get our time back. So fast forward to today, we have over 500 virtual assistants in the real estate space. We're also dipping into the medical space as well. So it's working out very, very well for companies like my own, my real estate company, and also other companies in the real estate profession.
So what are some examples of tasks that can be or should be outsourced? And maybe give us a use case of someone, before and after they discovered this potential with virtual assistants.
Absolutely. If you look in the real estate world, you go from branding. We all need to brand. You and I do this in our businesses because we have to. I pulled up all of your sites and you do a great job of branding a number of different companies. I mean, you're pretty impressive, obviously, as you know, or you may not know, but very, very impressive in how you brand what you do, right? You have obviously your law practice, you have your real estate practice, and you have also a pro cheerleading training site. So to use that as an example, you could add in virtual assistants in each one of those different businesses, if you will. So I also have a podcast called Pucks to Properties where we interview ex-professional hockey players that are now in real estate. So every time I do a podcast, I send it right over after we're done this, going back and forth. I send this over to my virtual assistant team and they cut up each different part of our podcast and then they start posting on social media. So that would be a good example of branding. We also have real estate investors, agents, professionals that do the same exact thing. What they'll do is they'll walk a property and they'll, because if they want to get into real estate, they need to get their brand out there. So they'll walk a property, they'll upload the video, they'll send it over to one of our virtual assistants, and they'll do the rest. They'll post them on all different social media. So that's an example. Another example is lead generation. A lot of individuals do direct mail. A lot of individuals do cold calling, PPC, text messaging, whatever avenue of marketing that they need to do, they do direct to seller. And as soon as those leads come in, virtual assistant answers them as well. They take the lead, they pre-screen it, and they send that over to whether it's myself, my acquisition team, or one of the individuals that use our service. So they could do lead generation. That's considered lead generation. Once the lead is in there, they could also manage each lead through the process. So as you do this business for a long time, your leads in your database start building up. So we have virtual assistants go through all of those leads on a daily basis that are already in what's called a CRM. You could use, obviously, when you're first starting, typically you could use Google Sheets, you could use Excel, but you need an area where you put those potential motivated sellers and you have your virtual assistant go through those different leads and call to see if they're interested to sell. We buy and hold, we also fix and flip, and we also do some wholesaling around our area. So we use virtual assistants to really look at and gauge the motivation of sellers. So those are just some examples of, how you could use virtual assistants and how I use them on my day-to-day.
What are some mistakes that you've made in the past? You're someone who's been at entrepreneurship and helping entrepreneurs for a really long time. Are there any mistakes that you've made in the past that you can help us avoid by sharing, your challenges and how you were able to overcome them?
I mean, this could be a podcast for about 7-hour podcast. In this business,
I hope not.
Yeah, but I made some mistakes. Being in business for over 20 years, I think we've all made some mistakes. But I think probably the one of the things that I want to highlight is don't have shiny object syndrome in this business. If you start real estate, or let me take a step back. When you start real estate, I promise you it's not going to be where you end because this business takes you in different nooks and crannies. You may start as a fix and flipper like I did. You may do education, which I did. You may end up building portfolio like I did. And you end up maybe owning a virtual assistant company like I did. The biggest mistake is I did a knockdown rebuild in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I had zero experience. This is the second year I was in business. I lost $150,000 in that knockdown rebuild. The reason why I'm telling you this is not to scare anybody, but to let everyone know to do your due diligence, make sure you know who and what type of project you're getting into. I had no education in knockdown rebuilds at all, like zero. So I jumped in with blind faith. It was really a gamble that it was going to work out, and it did not work out. So my advice would be to make sure you have a great attorney on your team, you have a great real estate agent on your team, you have a great builder. If you're going to do something like that, make sure your team is lined up. I did not do that. I hope invested and I lost. I gambled and I lost.
Well, I love that you focus on team because, and even this podcast, right? We are lifestyle solopreneurs, but the word solopreneur doesn't mean you go at it alone and you wear every single hat. I think of solopreneurship as someone is the business owner and, they own their business so they can decide the direction of the business and you're sort of, at the wheel. But team is important. And I love that you help people create their teams because a lot of your team does not have to be a full-time employee. A lot of your team could be outsourced just for specific tasks. But having virtual assistants is really important because that's a way to just magnify yourself and kind of create more time. Because a lot of entrepreneurs feel that there's just not enough time in each day. But if you have a team of people helping and putting in extra hours, it's almost like you conjured time out of thin air. You made time. You gave yourself these additional hours per day by hiring these people. So I love that you do that. What is some advice that you can give to someone who's maybe at the very beginning of the journey? So we have a lot of people listening right now, right? You already have a business and you're on your way and you may have been doing this for a while actually. But there's also people out there who are waiting in the sidelines. Maybe would it be sidelines? What would it be in hockey? What are the people that are like, wait,
waiting in the stand, maybe waiting in the stands because they haven't gotten the opportunity to hit the ice yet. So
not even on the ice. Okay, they're not even wearing skates. Like, just maybe watching from home, right, on TV, and just kind of waiting for a sign or motivation to strike, or something to change. What would you say to someone who's just afraid to take that step?
I would say take action, and I know that that's kind of cliche, but if you need somebody to push you, just get a partner. And I'm not saying it could be a deal partner. So and we'll use real estate as an example. If you want to do your first deal, get somebody that's going to help you to do it. It could be a mentor, it could be a coach, but somebody that's going to hold you accountable every single day. Because there's nothing worse than waking up one day and be like, I remember 10 years ago, I wanted to do this. And then you finally start. So just get somebody who's accountable to actually push you every day to get something done. So accountability partner or even a deal partner would be a good way to get started.
What is it with us humans where it's sometimes easier to be accountable to somebody else than to ourselves? I'm not a psychologist. You're many things. I didn't see psychologists on your bio, but
no, not at all.
This.
Not at all. But I do want to add that. But it's kind of, if you think about this, that's why you have coaches in sports. That's why you have teachers in school tell us what homework we need to do to learn a certain subject. So we're always ingrained on having a mentor or somebody to hold us accountable. It starts when we're young. Our parents did that for us as well. So I guess it's really ingrained into us when we're born.
Well, and you've been in professional sports. And isn't it true, though, that when you have a coach, your coach doesn't necessarily need to be a better player than you or a better at your sport or whatever you're doing, but they have to be a good coach. They have to be, have that ability to bring the best out of the people that they're coaching, not necessarily to say like, watch how I hold my foot or watch how I do this. Because there's people out there that do their craft really, really well, but they're terrible coaches.
Right, right. And it's leadership too in business world outside of sports. It's being a leader. You could have two different managers in different departments of a company, but you have one manager that's successful because they understand how to lead. You have another manager that is not good and their team just doesn't perform because of this type of style that they do and their management style and skill. It's very, very important for all of us to, look at what types of leaders that we are, not only in our business, but the role models we are. But it's very, very important who we learn from, because we all learn from different types of individuals. There's some coaches out there, some mentors out there, more of a hammer type coach, but there's side-by-side leaders that pick everybody up. And everybody kind of, it reacts a little different to different types of individuals, and they also react at different ages. So for me, personally, I'm a side-by-side leader. I like picking everybody up, motivating them, and getting them, up and running to the best of their ability, because everyone has an ability, but some people's ability is higher than others. And that's another important takeaway that is very true in this world. We all have a capacity, and how high that capacity is, it's only from us. We can't, push the sky. Like I'll never be, and this is not a knock to myself, but I'll never be like an Elon Musk. I'll never be a Jeff Bezos. That's just not my skill set, right? But I will be a successful, business owner in my virtual assistant space, my real estate space. But that I keep my capacity there, but capacity is the other side of things. Like writing code, I don't have much of it.
Trust me, I don't write code either. And I don't know if the world needs another Bezos or Musk, but I think we're probably, we're good. We'll hold. But I love everything you've offered. And we always encourage guests, not just to offer their wisdom on the podcast episode itself, but, if they have something else of value to offer to listeners, to please make it available. And you have, I have a link here. It's at your website at the downloads link. But tell us a little bit about what that is and where people can find it.
Absolutely. You can go to REVA Global, REVA Global.com. And you could also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're everywhere on social. And if you have any questions, you could send me an email direct, Bob@REVA Global, REVA Global.com.
That's very generous. Thank you so much for making all of that knowledge available. I love how generous you are with sharing this knowledge, especially about the virtual assistants. I love real estate. You know that I'm very active in the world of real estate. And that's something that is already front and center, but there's that kind of secret sauce that even a lot of real estate investors don't know about, which is ways to leverage. Internationally, there's so many different ways to hire the help that you need. It doesn't have to break the bank. There's so many different ways to build the team that will propel you forward. Any last parting words of wisdom for this episode today that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I would say if you want the lifestyle that you desire, put the time in up front. It's kind of like when you look at professional athletes and, the best of the best. Let's use Wayne Gretzky, one of the best hockey players ever. Put the time in every single day. What you find is most successful individuals really put 2 feet into what they're doing, and they're extremely, extremely focused. So when you start something, have the long-term vision, but put a lot of time, energy, and focus in what you start.
Bob, it's been great chatting with you. I love hearing about how you went from professional hockey all the way into real estate. And then now you also help staff up all of the real estate investors with a virtual assistant team. So that is you're one of my people, multi-niche, lots of different areas. But, if you're anything like me, it keeps life interesting and it gives you that variety you need. And there's a lot of us out there that crave variety. So it's nice to see someone doing it so successfully. Thanks again for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness, but money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use the coupon code PODCAST, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.